Thank you very much, Chairman Alexander. Thank you both for your forbearance and for your sound and solid leadership of this subcommittee and others. And thank you for your service and for the opportunity to talk with you today about the Army Corps of Engineers. I have been particularly pleased with the service of the colonel who is charged with the Philadelphia District, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Bliss. And I am grateful for your continued support for a project that's near and dear to my constituents, the Delaware River dredging. I am pleased there's another $55 million overall in the work plan to complete the project, so I just wanted to start by saying thank you, since I know not every opportunity is taken to thank you for budget support and for leadership. If I might, Assistant Secretary Darcy, just wanted to talk about Delaware's beaches. We have several world-class beaches. They are a key driver of tourism in our region, and they're essential to the economy of southern Delaware. We had a significant storm recently that imposed some very hard damage. We were grateful for previous investment in beach nourishment that protected those beaches, but most of what had been provided in recent years was torn away, and that's left a lot of our coastal communities and their infrastructure exposed. And I am hopeful that we can work together to find resources. The President's budget, to my disappointment, did not include funding for Bethany Beach or South Bethany Beach. And as the project information reports from the Philadelphia District come into your office describing damage to Delaware's beaches, I am hopeful that you conclude that the Flood Control and Coastal Emergencies Act funds that remain unspent from Sandy could be used for Rehoboth, Bethany, and South Bethany. Do you think that is possible or likely? And if not, what else do you think we could do to rebuild Delaware's beaches and its coastal defenses?
As you say, Senator, we are in the PIR stage, which is the project information reports, in order to inform us as to what damages were done and what the actual cost of those repairs will be. As far as using Sandy supplemental funds, I'm going to have to defer because I believe that those can only be used for damages that were incurred from Superstorm Sandy as opposed to subsequent storms. But again, I mean, that's something we will check into if the need be for that if the need for the repairs is unmet.
Given that just a visual inspection as well as detailed reports from local government leaders suggests to Delaware's congressional delegation that there will be some significant needs here, what funding source do you think is most likely, relevant, or appropriate to take action this year?
Probably the FCC&E account. That's our flood coastal emergency account. But it would depend on how they're evaluated as far as relative to the most recent storm.
Well, I'll join comments made by other of my colleagues earlier in this hearing that it is disappointing that the administration's funding request is insufficient for what are the likely needs of the whole country. And as a member of this subcommittee, I'm happy to commit to continuing to support needed increased funding that'll make it possible for you to address the needs of Delaware and many other states. Let me also turn to the Port of Wilmington. It's on a dredging cycle that really isn't sufficient to meet the needs of this port. It's a relatively small port, but it's an important port for my home state. It silts in about every 6 to 9 months, and right now it's causing havoc with a number of customers at the port, and I'm hopeful that going forward you'll consider including funding for 2 dredging cycles a year. Is this something you're familiar with?
Senator, I'm aware that we did provide 16 O&M dredging for this port at $3.845 million, and also in the President's 17 budget request, we have $4.355 million for this, for the next dredging cycle. So I think an additional dredging cycle is what your question is, sir?
Yes.
I believe that currently we are budgeting on a single dredging cycle, and that's what I think those numbers reflect.
Well, I'll urge you to reconsider based on experience at the port, 2 dredging cycles a year. And let me, in my closing moments, simply recommend to you again funding for the Delaware River Basin Commission. Although there is a congressionally approved compact that requires a federal contribution, the federal contribution hasn't been forthcoming, I think, in 19 of the last 20 fiscal years. I also am an advocate for the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund. You've made some significant, I think, improvements The request is higher. Our funding has improved, but it's still 20% less this year than what was appropriated last. And I think it would make a significant difference for harbors across the country, not just in my home state of Delaware. So please note me as an advocate for working to ensure that the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund is put to its appropriate purposes and that we invest to the level we need to in order to ensure that our export and import businesses that go through our vital ports and harbors are appropriately maintained.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.